In Simpsons, there is a funny episode where Homer is having the best time of his life. He's in the party, he's doing nasty things, and he's, well, a little bit drunk. His non-drinking friend is coming to him and saying, "Hey Homer, I know you're having fun here, but you are way too drunk, man. This is not going to end up good. You're going to have a tough day tomorrow." And Homer looks at him with an empty eyes and saying, "Well, yeah, I know, but that's a problem for a future Homer."
That's a problem for future Homer. Man, I don't envy that guy.
While this story is about alcohol, the same principle applies to the technical debt of the company. The thing is that every time your company creates a technical debt, you're creating a problem for your future self, like Homer does.
As you might have already guessed, today we are going to talk about technical debt. Does it sound familiar to you? It probably does, because let's face it, almost every organization has at least some of it. Now in this video we are going to cover multiple topics. What exactly technical debt is, why you should care about this, how much of the technical debt is too much and how you can identify this, and finally, of course, how to fix this technical debt in your particular case. Let's get started. So what is a technical debt? The definition is quite simple. These are the mistakes that are done by your technical team in the past that stop the growth of your product in the future. Usually it looks like this. The development team is making some shortcuts to ship the product to the market faster. Then the product evolves. But the problem is that it evolves on top of the unoptimal solutions that were made in the past. And the net result of this, you guess it, these are new shortcuts that are made. So after some time, the situation becomes so unmanageable that it's hardly possible to evolve the product. And the root cause of this is technical debt. And this is precisely why this subject is so important to anyone who is shipping a digital product. The problem is that there is a direct correlation between the amount of technical debt and the time to market. In other words, if you are having a lot of technical debt, it will take you a long time to ship your product updates and deliver it to your customers. We all know how ferocious the competition is in IT and how unforgiving the customers are. So if you are a successful business, then time to market is not something that you would like to compromise on. Now, the next important question that we need to address is actually understanding how much of the technical debt is too much and how to identify such cases before it's too late. And the answer to this question would actually depend on the position that you have in the company and the perspective from which you see the product. Let's say you're working more on the product side, you are not a technical person, and you see a product as an end product, like your consumer does. Then here are the top 3 indications that might help you to identify the technical debt in your company. First, a releasing of new features takes longer and longer time. Second, the release of the new feature breaks a lot of old functionality and existing features. Third, you have some clear bottlenecks in your application. So let's say you know that most of your users are opening your application between 12 and 13 p.m. Every day on weekdays. And you know that this is when you have trouble because users keep complaining that the application is too slow or too unresponsive. If you are on the technical side, then the indications would be a bit different because you approach the product from a different angle. So the top indications from the technical perspective would be slightly different. Now, if you are more on the technical side, let's say you're a developer, a DevOps, or an architect, you will see the product from a different angle. And your indications of whether there is too much of a technical debt would be different. Here are my favorite ones. So first is the code is too tightly coupled. It means that when you are working on a certain part of your business logic, you accidentally affect different parts of your business logic. Second indication is that you prefer to copy-paste the logic of a certain class, copy-paste the business logic, instead of modifying the existing one. And your motivation, of course, is that you don't want to break the existing logic. Third is that you don't have a lot of unit tests or system tests. And every time you're doing a modification, you are not testing it locally, you are not testing it in an automated manner, you're just pushing it to dev or QA environment, and your manual QAs are taking care of this. Fourth is that you don't have any performance metrics on your application, so you don't actually know how your application performs on QA, pre-prod, and prod environments. Fifth is more of a DevOps thing. Let's say that your deployment practices and your monitoring practices are not as automated. The typical example here would be the full manual deployment where you are assembling the jar locally and then pushing it to the Unix box and just restarting it there. Or, for example, when you are trying to search for the logs, you log into the Unix box and you tail your log file instead of going to the let's say some Elasticsearch or SaaS solution like Datadog, Dynatrace, and others. Now, the most important question would be how to fix this technical debt. Actually, there is no easy answer for this because it depends on where this debt came from. According to Martin Fowler, there are 4 main reasons behind having technical debt. So the first one would be reckless, deliberate technical debt. Now, there are 2 components to this. Reckless, that means that someone knew how to avoid this but didn't avoid it. And deliberate, that means that that was a conscious decision. Now you might wonder, why would someone do a deliberate technical debt to your organization? And the answer to this is often because there is no role segregation. So if you have a team of developers and you don't have an architect or a technical lead who is responsible for the quality of the product from a technical perspective, then, everyone has his or her definition of how things should look like, and no one feels responsibility for this. So therefore, people are doing some shortcuts because they don't feel responsible for the product. Now, in this particular scenario, that usually indicates an immature team with no obvious technical leader in the team. To fix this, you need to make sure that you have a technical leader in the team who understands the situation and who understands what actually constitutes the debt and has a remediation plan of how to fix this situation. So in such case, people will be doing shortcuts because they feel that they are responsible for the part of the work that they are doing, but no one is actually responsible for the end technical solution of the product. Now, to fix these cases, you definitely need to have a person who takes a full ownership for the quality of the technical solutions that you produce. This person would need to have the following qualities. So first, he or she needs to have a clear understanding of the current state of an architecture and the approximate understanding of the future state of an application. That, of course, involves talking to business and understanding where the business is moving because it affects the technical solutions. Second, this person would need to make a list of a technical debt that you currently have in your team. And third, you need a plan for remediating this technical debt, and you need to understand that basically this would be put on your deliverable timeline, and you need to sacrifice some of the time for the product development in order to fix your technical debt. The next case is very similar to the first one, but with one big difference. In this case, the debt is deliberate and prudent, not deliberate and reckless. It means that there are good reasons for taking the technical debt. Now, you might ask yourself, are there any good reasons for taking a technical debt in organization? And the answer is yes. Actually, there are 2 cases where technical debt is justified, if it's temporary. The first one is when you are developing something one time and you want to cut the corners to make things faster, and you know 100% that things are not going to evolve from there, that the first iteration of the product that you are building is a final iteration and there is no other iteration. Now, that's a rare case, to be honest. The second case, however, is when business really needs fast time to market to gain some competitive advantage. For example, you're working on the same feature with your competitor and it's extremely important for you to release it faster than your competitor does. But the timeline doesn't allow you to do it properly from a technical perspective. And then you can basically negotiate with your technical team to make some technical debt, to make some shortcuts that are temporary, very important. in order to release the feature first. In such case, technical team understands that technical debt was made, they understand how things should be done properly, and they understand that this is a temporary thing just to help the business to grow. To remediate this technical debt, you actually just need to give your technical team time to understand when exactly you can fix this technical debt and fit it on your product timeline. Third example is the worst. It's unconscious, reckless debt. That happens in the cases when team is immature and incompetent. So these are situations where technical team didn't even know that they were creating a technical debt and didn't think about this at all. This is a hard case, and it actually can go way too far and drag your entire organization down. So if you are in this situation, it's very important for you to reevaluate your technical team to make sure that it is competent, and if not, you just need to do certain rearrangements in your team. You definitely need to hire a person who is competent, who understands technology well, and who will be able to build the plan of remediating the debt that you have and fit it into your product pipeline. The fourth situation is quite common as well. This is the unconscious prudent debt. So it means that the team that was working on your product didn't know about your product much, and they made certain assumptions about technologies, about technical solution that will be a fit. But over time, they understood that the product is going in a different direction and they have to restructure their technical solutions. So in this case, the team is actually aware about the mistakes that they done in the past and they know how to fix this. Now, in such situations, to remediate a technical debt, you just need to make sure that everyone in the team is aligned and you have a clear understanding of what exactly the current state is and the desired state is, and how you would like to bridge the gap between this. And so you need to make up a plan of a technical debt remediation and again fit it into your product development pipeline. And then essentially you just need to give your technical team time just to catch up with the debt that they have created over time. That is essentially it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Click like and subscribe button, and I wish you good luck and less of the technical debt, of course. Speak to you later.